Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second service. Turn to somebody and say, Shabbat Shalom. Happy Easter. As we move forward, the realization that it is in every one of us is what we are all about in religious science. It's in every one of us to be true. It's in every one of us to be health. It's in every one of us to be happiness. It's in every one of us to be abundant in any area we allow ourselves to focus and celebrate. The realization of Easter is the realization of the new. In my book, The Power of Positive Purpose, I have a chapter called Rolling Away the Stone. And in that chapter, what I'm talking about is the realization that we can roll away the stone of doubt and fear and unhappiness. We can roll away the stone of any reason we have for limitation or doubt. In Matthew 28:7 it says, "And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and behold, he goeth before you to Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you." Now what is this talking about? It's talking about the realization that every great New Thought teacher has taught throughout the history of our teaching, and that is the power of I am coming forth once we get a limited idea of I am out of the way. That there is something within us that is alive and awake, aware, and ready to come forth and embrace any experience we allow ourselves to dedicate ourselves to. This is the golden key to life. The golden key that we discover if we realize that it's not somewhere else or hidden somewhere. It is in our own hand. It is right where we are. And if it's in our own hand, what placed it there? The infinite did. Why? Because the infinite is the key and it made us out of itself. This the great teachers have taught, both the East and West. Now, everyone say, it's up to me to turn the key. It's up to me to open the door and walk through to greater good. You see, if you think you're locked out of some experience that is greater than where you are right now, remember you have the key. If you think you're locked out, there's nothing locking you out but you. And if you don't want to be locked out anymore, then turn that key, open the door, and walk through it. We've used this illustration a number of times, and every time I do it, someone comes up and says, "Oh, yes, that makes sense." How many are having an Easter celebration that has something to do with food today? Any of you? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. Now, how many are having guests over? Okay. Now, how many are going to spend your time cooking and preparing and putting it on the table, and then have your guests walk up to the door and look at the table and just sit there and talk to each other about how good it looks and how nice it smells, and never sit down and eat any of it? Okay. How many know there's a lot of people who do that with metaphysical teaching? They just stand there and talk about how good it looks and how nice it smells, and isn't it wonderful? Are you going to eat any? Well, so, everyone say, if the banquet's there, I'm going to eat some of it. See, and that's the thing about it. Don't just sit and talk about how good it looks and how wonderful it is and isn't it nice and doesn't it feel good. The challenge is to be it, and you be it in action by allowing yourself to know that it is your privilege to be it in action. It is your privilege to know the truth of yourself and to realize that if you are going to resurrect yourself out of some limited idea into a greater truth, that your entrance into that, as we celebrated last week with Palm Sunday, and moving forward into the Passover experience, which means passing over from darkness to light, is the realization that I can put a little light on any subject, see it better, honor it better, and then be it, not just know about it. Here's a thought I would like you to take into your own meditative concept of the lesson this morning. The concept, he is not here, he is risen. I am not where I used to be. I am allowing myself to rise above that which is my privilege to do and be, and I can do it by right of consciousness, and I don't have to dwell in what I say I don't want anymore. All I have to do is give up my reasons for being there and find a reason to be out of there, and then move forward. You see, when we realize that the resurrection of Jesus in the story is a symbol of the resurrection of everybody, that we can resurrect ourselves into a greater and greater experience. Dr. Holmes said that it is our privilege not just to be born again, but to be born again and again and again and again, what? Into a new realization. This is why he said yesterday's treatment, yesterday's understanding, yesterday's awareness is not good enough for today. Why? Because today is new. And there's something to behold in it. Reverend Lacey. And I want to tell all of you, if you go home this afternoon and watch the Stanford women's basketball game, look right behind them and you'll see Lacey and Ola sitting there. They just flew to San Antonio yesterday. And so anyhow, I said, well, you know, it's going to be good. That's loyalty. I'll tell you what, get on a plane, fly there and watch them, and it is good. Go Cardinal. Anyhow. The celebration of life. Now, isn't it interesting? Lacey is there and Ola's there. They're going to have a celebration, and it's going to be wonderful being there. And isn't it something to celebrate when we realize he said, I am going there to see that basketball game, and then he bought a ticket, got on a plane, and he's there. Okay. How many know people who say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and I never buy a ticket? Okay. You know, that's the woman praying to God to, you know, win the lottery, and she keeps praying for it, win the lottery, win the lottery, and finally God shows up as an experience and says, why don't you buy a ticket? How many know people are treating to win the lottery and they won't go out and buy a ticket? Okay. They're treating to be happy, but they're not doing things that set happiness in motion.